Hi.
Hi.
It's the sassy stand.
Huh?
The stand. I call that the sassy stand.
Oh. Sorry, would you prefer if I.
Now you look too polite. And that doesn't make sense. Okay. How we doing?
I've had better days.
Okay. Well, what's causing today to be a bad one?
You're gonna laugh at me.
Am I?
I'm wearing red. That's what makes today a bad day.
I'm sorry. What? How does wearing red make it a bad day?
Because when I moved here, I hated the color red.
So why are you wearing red then?
Because that's the problem!
What do you mean that's the problem? Explain. Elaborate. Give me the tea.
I'm just scared the city is changing me too much.
Oh wait. Are you having a mental breakdown? Not necessarily mental breakdown, but like, are you having an existential crisis because you decided you like the color red now when you didn't like the color red before?
Yeah, and it just made me realize how much I've changed.
I mean, people change over time. Sometimes you like different colors. I mean, I used to wear just green, only green for my scrubs and everything, and now I generally wear blacks and grays and such. Kind of evolves over time. I mean, I'm in a higher position in the hospital. I'm an attending now, so like it just kind of suits my position more.
You don't understand though.
Okay, I'll elaborate.
When I moved here, I thought cops were always operating under our best interest, and I was really thankful for all of them.
Huh?
And now there are some of them that I feel like I could watch get shot, and I'd be like, "Thank you for doing the world a favor."
Well, it does depend on the cop, right? I mean, some of them are good, some of them are bad, and some of them are, corrupt as fuck. Let's be honest. I mean, the city does have a way of, I guess, the best way I could put it is eroding your senses to a degree and making you a little bit more susceptible to violence as an option to things, or at least the idea of violence. I don't think anyone comes into this city initially thinking, fuck everyone, let them just, take a bullet. But it tends to end up that way at some point. Some sooner than others. I think everyone ends up having a chaotic streak at times.
I mean, I guess I just. You know that coyote that always runs across the road when you're going up to Sandy?
Yes.
I used to swerve to hit it or brake to miss it, not swerve to hit it, swerve to miss it or brake to miss it. And now I just keep driving. And if I hit it, I'm just like, well, I don't even think about it anymore.
Well, I mean, at some point, is it not natural selection that the coyote always runs across the same part of the road? I mean, I don't think that's necessarily you being like, okay, so here's my biggest question for you. Do you think that you are a worse person than when you came into the city?
It's a problem I don't know.
Okay, well, quantify it to a degree. I mean, do you still have friends that care about you?
Yeah.
Okay, you obviously you have a boyfriend that loves you. You have family and friends that love you. Has anything detrimentally changed since you feel like you've changed?
feel like I don't care about people the way I used to. Like, I don't know. And it just feels like maybe this is just every single thing that has happened to me since I moved here just finally like bubbling up.
Well, that's fair. I mean, experiences change a person, and if your experiences have made you a little bit colder towards people that you used to be, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, do you want to go back to the way that you used to be? Like, would you prefer to be the person than what you first were when you came into the city, or do you like the person you are today?
I mean, I love my life. I love the people and the experiences and everything I get to do.
Hmm.
I don't know. When I moved here, I wanted to be a photographer, and I can't even put myself on Limitless anymore.
You can't put yourself on the limit list anymore.
No. And everything I
Why not?
say in here is confidential, right?
Correct. And unless you tell me something along the lines of like you have someone in your basement right now that you're torturing or something, obviously that technically I have to tell police if that were the case. But like, if you've committed crimes or something like that, like that's confidential. I don't have to tell anyone as long as no one's life is eminently at danger currently. That's the
See, but
basic.
that's the
Basic logic.
thing. That's the thing, Sassy.
Okay. Okay. Unless you're actively pointing a gun at someone's head, then I generally don't have to say
I
shit.
don't even own one. I've never even
Okay.
touched one.
Are you trying
No,
to tell me that
there's.
someone's life might be in danger though, to a degree?
I mean, yeah. Yeah. And it's not
Okay.
like you can do anything about it anyway because we don't know anything about who it is.
Okay.
It's this unknown number started calling,
Okay.
and they only contacted Project R employees.
Gotcha.
And it sounds so dumb. And apparently whoever it is uses like a voice changer. And the thing about Project R is that all the employees that were contacted are really good racers too.
Doesn't Josh Grimm work at Project R?
I have no idea.
I thought he did. Maybe I'm losing it because he's an EMS. So
Well, yeah, but like I said, every employee that I know that was contacted is really,
gotcha.
really good
Good
at
racer.
racing. And
Okay.
Mina, when this unknown number called them, the unknown number, I'm just gonna call him he, cause, yeah, um, he said that he would be in contact with them soon, and then never contacted them again. Kind of. Mina ended up, well, so Miles got a call, and he got a picture of the three of us standing down at Project R, and the caption was, "We're always watching." And then so he got a call along with that message in the picture. And so Mina twatted out, "Speak soon, my ass," or something like that. And it really pissed off whoever this guy is because they threatened to blow up her T20.
Okay.
And like at first, we all just thought it was a joke. But then more
Yeah.
and more people started coming in, and more people started, talking about how they had gotten these calls and everything. And then one day it happened. The first race went up, and it was Mina and Cassie. And they were told to meet at the start of the Kiku Memorial Track. And so they did. And those words mean nothing to you, but Kiku was murdered. I think 3 years ago, almost 4. No. Wait, no, yeah, 3, almost 4, sorry. And, it was one of Mina's best friends, and Cassie was also involved, but I don't know how. And so for them to have to run that race, like, it was a huge, like, emotional burden.
Gotcha.
It was a,
Brings
like,
up old memories.
yeah, it
Big,
was a,
big
like,
time old
"I
memories.
see you, I know you." Like, they brought up
I know
stuff
who you
about
were. Yeah.
Cassie that has been 7 or 8 years, she said. And so Cassie and Mina had to run the race. And before that, I guess this guy had asked them a bunch of questions, like personal information. Like, Mina, one of the questions was like, "Do you drive a pink T20?"
Hmm.
And well, Mina said yes because I mean, she they didn't catch the whole like pink part. It sounded like they just like choked on spit or whatever, which like we've all been there. And so Mina won that race.
Okay.
And then they had a 10-second penalty, so they lost the race. And so that
Okay.
was step 1. And then they called Miles, and he ran the same track against Mina.
Okay.
Except it was step 2 for Cassie, and Cassie had to shoot out Miles's tire.
Okay.
And Miles was told that his step 2 was supposed to be at the beginning of this week, and nothing has happened, and I'm going crazy.
Hmm. Has anyone like actively gotten hurt by this person as of yet?
Not
Or has
directly
just
by
been,
this person, no.
but they know who people are. They know people's pasts enough to where it's scary, and you want to do what they're saying, basically.
One of the questions that Miles was asked was, "Are you dating Hannah Ellis?" The only people that know about me are within our community.
Yeah, I didn't know you were dating anyone until yesterday as well.
Yeah, I know, exactly. It's not like, it's not a secret, but it's
It's
also
just not
not
something you necessarily put out there.
right. Like, our personal life is our personal life.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
And it's just like I can't put myself on limitless because if that unknown caller figures out how to get a hold of me, I know he's gonna use me against Miles. And I
Here's
can't
the
let that happen.
I can understand that feeling, and I have dealt with that feeling myself as of recently with different situations. Unfortunately, there's people that I care about as well, and this whole sickness thing has its downsides to being in the center of it. Unfortunately, and I'm one of the doctors that has to deal with it. So, um, I think that to a degree, you have to understand that there is some level of control that you unfortunately just do not have. While you can hide your number from the limit list, there's no saying that this person doesn't already have your
It
number.
doesn't already have it, doesn't hasn't been like tracking my
Exactly.
every single move, doesn't know how to find me even
Yes.
right now. I know.
And I think that, let me put it this way, the best thing that I can say is being afraid of living your life because of something that you have no control over isn't necessarily the way that anyone should ever be. That's my personal opinion on it, right? Um, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be afraid by any means. I mean, obviously, if someone has a lot of information on you and they're threatening people that you care about, that's perfectly acceptable to be afraid of and fear, you know. But you can only take things one day at a time as they come at you. And if you're constantly frozen before you're even getting into the situation, you're never going to be able to handle the actual situation when it pops up, right? Like, I think that to a degree, you have to, I don't want to say accept what's happening, but accept the situation that is around you and be prepared for what might come from it so that you can act in the way that you need to protect the people around you that you want to be able to, be okay, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that does mean talking about your issues like you're doing, and trying to at least get out your feelings in it so that you can be prepared for it. Because ultimately, like, you talking to me, I can't like fix these things, right? I don't know who this person is by any means, and like you said, I can't do anything about it, right? So hearing it, I can tell you the general things that you can do, but like ultimately you're going to have to handle it when it happens in the moment, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But being able to process that and get to a point where you're ready at least for it, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, and that's like, I feel like I'm at the point where it's like, okay, like I'm ready to handle whatever's next, but I'm
Is it the
so
waiting?
scared. Like, I woke up Monday and I was so prepared. I was prepared to immediately get a call saying that Miles was in the ICU or dead.
Yeah.
And I was ready for that. And then I was ready Tuesday and Wednesday.
And the waiting game is starting to drive you a little insane because nothing's happening and you're worried that you're scared for possibly nothing or it'll just hit you when you're not prepared.
Exactly, like I'm afraid I'm gonna get complacent. And like if Miles refuses to do something, so like with what Cassie had to do, like we think his step two is gonna be against Shush, and Shush is someone that he considers family.
What makes you think that?
Because right after Miles finished his step one, Shush and Blur got calls. And then they had to go run a race too. And Shush
Okay.
won.
Yeah. What happened?
That's the thing. I don't know. The only step two that we've seen is from Cassie.
Interesting. So they haven't given anyone else a step two except for Cassie.
No, and there was another stage one on Monday between Tony and Dean. And I don't know what happened there either.
Mm. So from what you know, no one's been hurt yet, as of yet, right?
And no, but if by any chance Miles wouldn't have been wearing his harness,
He may have been.
where Cassie was told to shoot out his tire, it is nothing shy of a miracle he walked away with only scrapes.
Yeah, generally speaking, when you get your tire shot out, you don't have much control over a car. So yeah, that's not surprising.
He went careening off of the cliff behind the Vinewood sign.
Oof.
Took him all
Okay.
the way down to Sonora Highway. And in the middle of all of this happening, I got picked up in the middle of a material delivery. And it's because they knew Shush and Blur was who I was with, and well, that's not true. I was making a delivery for Project R, so I was with Kitty, and Kitty gets a call from I think it was Shush asking if she knew where I was. And then they came, and Blur, in the most serious voice I have ever heard that man speak in, he said, "Hannah, get in the car." And so
Yeah.
I did. And then they wouldn't tell me anything. They just told me that Miles got a call too. And then the next thing I hear is, "Cassie, why are you sorry?" And then Cassie called Blur and said that she had to shoot out his tire. And then a little bit later, after that phone call had ended, Blur goes, "Cassie, you shot Miles?"
Yeah.
Jackie, I thought he was dead.
Yeah, I can understand that feeling especially. I don't really I don't have like advice that's going to necessarily help in this regard because when you're being terrorized by someone, and that's what it sounds like as you're being terrorized. Um, a lot of times, especially in situations like this, all you can do is keep being strong and moving through it, which is shit advice ultimately. Um, but it's just unfortunately the only thing you can do, right? Because you don't have much control over someone that you don't know or can find. I mean, this entity or whoever they are and whatever they're doing, um, and the information they have is very. Can I ask? Have you guys questioned who it is to a degree to where you started to question if someone in your group might be part of this or be doing this?
Enough. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't know.
Hmm.
And like Blur was quick to throw accusations, but we just don't know.
It's almost like a. I mean, far be it for me to say, but it's almost like initiation to some degree.
And that brings me to my next point. Miles told me about the puppets that used to run the underground scene.
Mm-hmm.
And based on what I've been told, everything lines up for it to be another puppet master.
So you think that they're just trying to see who will be compliant to their actions, and that's why only certain people are getting step twos?
Yeah, well, and the whole thing with the puppets is that they were all about racing and who would go to the extremes for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, of course, Cassie's gonna have a step 3 because she listened to what they had to say. And, like, Mina got cut from the running. And that's because even though Miles went careening off of that cliff, Mina stopped before they finished and let Miles win. Because they were willing to take on the consequences of whatever being cut from the program meant.
Yeah.
And I know there's gonna come a point where Miles doesn't conform anymore, and I just don't know where it is.
And you're worried that at the point, if he gets to that point, at too late of a stage, he's going to end up hurt or dead.
I don't know. And like, this sounds so stupid because, like, of course I'm worried about Mina because nothing has happened to them yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, we don't even know if there are consequences, but like, they threatened to blow up her car. They know
I mean,
everything about all of us.
from a psychological standpoint, the threat in and of itself is basically the gun that they're using to keep you guys compliant. It's not to say that it doesn't exist. It's just it is being used as a tool to keep you guys doing what you're supposed to be doing, quote unquote.
I mean, yeah, that's one way to say it.
Yeah. I mean, it is a valid choice what Mina's doing, which is saying, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to be part of this. So if you have consequences, give them to me ultimately. But I do understand how scary that can be, especially for people that don't know what the consequences actually are, if there are any. So I can understand where your position is, especially because it's not a fun one to be in when you have friends and family that are possibly going to be going through consequences that you don't know what they are or could be.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish I could give better advices to it, but I don't think there is very much advice that would necessarily help in this other than, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming you talked to Miles himself and have talked to him about this, right? And how you're feeling about it.
He has enough on his plate.
So I can understand the feeling of that, but if that's someone that you care about and love and whatnot, right? They would want to know where you're at and what's bothering you rather than not know.
I mean, but
I
am I
mean,
wrong for saying that he already has enough to carry?
I think
Because
the
I mean,
thing
it's him that
is,
never knows when he's gonna get another call or another text or anything.
so let me ask then, in this case, if you were in his shoes, would you want to know? Would you want him to tell you how he's feeling, or would you want him to be driving himself the same way you are, kind of, insane?
Of course, I'd want him to tell me. Because no matter how full my plate is, I'm sitting at that table and I will always make room for more.
You answered your own question then. You're always going to not want to put more on his plate, but he's always going to be willing to take more because it's you. And it's the same thing that people tell you all the time: treat people the way you want to be treated, right? So if you would want him to tell you, then you should tell him ultimately. Especially because the way that you are with him tailors how he is with you. So this time you may not tell him, and then he finds out you were stressing the entire time if nothing happens, and then that's to say maybe in the future he doesn't tell you because he's worried about you stressing.
I guess that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that this is just the start of what's going on. I hate that.
Yeah,
I just wish it was over, Jackie.
I know. Trust me, I understand wanting things to be finished when you have to sit and keep dealing with them. It's not a fun feeling by any means. Uh, but the unfortunate fact of it is there are people that, you rely on and rely on you, right? And the best thing I can say is that you have to keep going for them specifically.
I mean, I do. That's why I'm here.
Which is fair. And I mean, I think you're taking good steps, being able to speak what's going on out in a way that you don't have to censor what you're saying can help. Even if even if there's no actual advice to be given on it, at least being able to say it without feeling like you have to censor how you say it can generally allow you to feel a little bit of a burden being lessened to a degree. Kind of the reason we do therapy is to kind of give people that outlet to be able to at least do that. We of course try to give advice where we can, but not every situation will have something that's going to be like, hey, this is a clear cut, this is what you do,
Well, what do you mean? Your boyfriend and your best friend being threatened by an unknown number sending Morse code messages isn't it like a run of the mill situation? What do you mean?
Exactly. It's not a run of the mill situation. I mean, actually, in this city, it's a little bit more run of the mill than you think, but it's not a normal thing that you deal with on a daily basis, generally speaking.
And it's just like right before all of that happened, too. One of my friends, Flynn, and I don't even know if I'm gonna keep having him as a friend. I haven't decided because it's a whole other thing. But
Oh,
right
I know
before
Flynn.
that, he was talking. I know he works as EMS. I know this is confidential, so
You're fine.
it
You're
just
fine.
before this whole unknown number thing happened, he was telling me about how the MC he was a part of treated him like he was garbage and he wasn't sure if he wanted to leave. And I was like, well, it sounds like you need to. Like, they treat you like garbage. And then I get a call from this guy named JC. And he is like, yeah, so Flynn's gonna fake his own death. And I mean, of course, I shared that with Miles, and he was absolutely livid at the fact that they brought me into it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't know what happened, but Flynn didn't go through with it. And he went through with being blooded out, and he spent a couple days in the ICU, and I had no idea. And now they're just gonna keep hunting him. And he told me today that they're gonna go after people he cares about. And it's like just another reason for me to just stay a ghost. For my safety this time.
I mean, ultimately, I'm going to say whatever you feel like is the best idea is probably the best thing for you to do, right? But I generally tell people, and I'll continue saying it, living in fear and not being yourself, is that really living ultimately?
It just feels like right now I don't have a choice.
Which is fair. I mean, you have a lot of pressure on top of you that makes it impossible for you to feel like you can be yourself. I feel like in times like that, being more of yourself than you can is the best thing you can do to kind of just almost just say like I'm not going to allow you to, ruin my daily life, right?
Right?
And it's not to say don't be careful. It's just to say that why allow someone to toy with you in that way? I mean, I think the best way I can put it, right, that would make sense to this is if you had a life-threatening illness, right, and you had a option of coming in and getting it cured, but there's a good chance you would die. Would you rather just live out the days that you have remaining with the people that you love, or would you rather attempt to go through the surgery so that you can live with them for the rest of their lives as well?
I mean, of course I would go with the surgery.
Nope. Most people wouldn't, because at the end of the day, while it's risky and you may die from it, you're trying to get that excess time with people, right? There are still some people that do choose the other option, of course, but in this case, being yourself is technically that surgery. Like, why let them dictate who you are as a person and make you feel like you have to be a ghost? Just be yourself, and if something comes of it, unfortunately, like you have to deal with that in the long run. But at least you get to live your life in the time that you are being yourself. Because at the end of the day, the biggest thing for me is that there is chaos constantly around us. You could walk out of here and go get hit by a car, and that could be the end of it. You know, you don't know what is going to happen or when it's going to happen. So being afraid of an entity, while obviously you should value yourself and value your life in the long run and not put yourself into the lines of danger as much as you can, don't allow for things to be threatened against you to make you not yourself. But again, that's just my 2 cents on that. That doesn't necessarily have to resonate with you. Everyone has different beliefs in the way that they want to be.
Yeah. I just never want to be the reason that someone gets hurt.
Sometimes you can't help that though.
Yeah.
Like that is sometimes just the chaoticness of the world. Sometimes you just don't have that control over what happens from things that you do.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, we don't live in a perfect world, right? And you're never going to be perfect. You're human just like anyone else, and we are flawed individuals. Everyone is. So no situation is ever going to be handled perfectly. There's no perfect solution or perfect way to do it. You just have to go through your life as you normally would.
I just have a million what ifs. Like, what if I go back to living life normally and one of the people that calls me for photos and meets me somewhere is this guy?
I just went deaf for a second there. Say that one more time. Sorry.
It's just like, if I go back to living my life normally, what if one day one of the people that calls me for photos is this guy?
I mean, if that's the case, then you have to handle it that day. I mean, here's the thing, right? You could literally just be doing your normal everyday life, and tomorrow you might, I don't know, maybe be rude to someone on accident. I mean, that doesn't seem like you. You generally seem to be, a pretty perky individual who seems very nice, and I don't think you would, but maybe you snap at someone because you're having a bad day, right? Who's to say that person doesn't get upset with you and call you and make threats to you or do something to you that day, right? You still have no control over whether that happens because you're not meaning for anything bad to happen from that. You just snapped for whatever reason at the time. Like that's what I mean by it. Like ultimately you don't have control over who this guy is or what he is, but he's trying to control you in the sense of fear. He's putting you in a box and saying, stay there, don't do these things because I'm outside waiting for you. So are you going to comply and let him keep you in a state of fear? Or are you going to say, no, fuck you, I'm going to live my life, and if you show up, I'll deal with you when you show up. But if you're not there, I'm going to keep just doing my thing and being me.
Yeah, I guess.
Either way, you're going to deal with the stress of it. Only you can decide what works best for you. No one can tell you what you need to do. You have to decide what works for you. If you think you need to hide and just stay ghost and just keep the way that you're doing it, then keep doing that. If that's working for you. But if that's not working for you, then you need to be yourself and keep doing your thing. And just if he pops up, and then you go from there. But no matter which way you decide it, you can't let the stress pile up to where you break down from it. That's the biggest thing. Be mindful of your own levels of stress and what you're dealing with and reach out when you need to ultimately.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
I mean, it's why we exist. We do our best to try and give people an outlet so that they can not explode too much and they can get out some of their pent up situations.
I don't know what you could possibly mean. I haven't I haven't stressed myself to my breaking point at all.
You're wearing red.
I'm wearing red.
I mean, it doesn't look bad, but you're the one who doesn't like red. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I do think that you should talk with your partner, but you can only be the one to make that decision.
Yeah.
But I do think at least speaking with him would help to relieve some of your burden, which ultimately I think he would want because it's what you would want.
I just don't want to be a burden to him.
I think that I think that relieving your burden is not the same as burdening someone else with it, though. Everyone has baggage to some degree, and I mean, this is obviously not like you're not dealing with your own excess baggage. You're dealing with baggage that's being thrown at you now from a different source, but still, the entire point in having the people that are around you that are friends and family and the people that you love is that they help you carry that baggage. you know? You're
Yeah.
not burdening them by doing it. You're just having them help you. They ultimately choose whether or not they want to help or not. They're not being forced to. Because at the end of the day, they're in your life because they want to be, not because they're forced to be.
Okay, you're right. Yeah.
I feel like everyone feels like they're burdening people when they tell them situations, though. So I get that argument. I just don't think it's a realistic one when you break it down, is all. Because you yourself are never a burden to the people that care about you.
I guess I don't know what else to say.
I mean, if you feel like you've said everything that you can, then that we can call it there. And if you need to speak again, you can speak whenever you like.
That works for me.
Fine. I think that you're going to be okay. Just look, one thing to keep in mind with therapy, especially, it's never going to make you feel necessarily better right away. You're going to have to think on everything that you're told, and it will take a while for it to fully sink in, regardless. It's not to say that it's ever going to fully help, but just keep what's said in mind, basically.
Okay. I can do that. Thanks,
Oh,
Jackie.
no worries, is what I'm here for. Go have fun doing whatever you're doing. That's totally not illegal.
You didn't hear? You don't get bet from racing anymore. It's dead.
Reina?
Doesn't mean you're not racing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Hi, Twinkles.
Wait. Hannah? Is that you?
Yeah, hi.
Hi. You look so different.
Yeah, I never wear red.
Yeah. You look nice though.
Oh, thanks.
No problem. Are you okay?
No.
Yeah, you don't sound like you're okay. What's wrong?
Oh, it's just so much.
Ow. Wow. You sorry to hear that. Then goodbye to navigate. But alright, things will be okay.
Yeah, no, they will. It's just one of those things.
Do you want to kiss someone?
Yeah, but the problem is I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about it another time.
Okay, yeah.
We'll give you a call, okay?
Okay. Thanks, Twinkles.
Okay. You be safe.
You too.
Bye.